And now, amid rising pressure from the government and consumers, food makers are reducing the level of sodium in their products. Now, usually companies would want you to know they were making healthier merchandise. So where are all the ad campaigns and fancy labels promoting their efforts? Andrea Canning explains why your food is secretly getting better for you.
When it comes to salt, Americans are used to saying, pour it on.
I love salt. There's no such thing as too much salt.
According to the Centers for Disease Control, Americans consume about twice the daily recommended amount of salt, an amount that can add up fast with salt seemingly everywhere. On average, 1 cup of canned vegetable soup, packed mac and cheese, or 10 pretzels each contain almost the daily amount of salt on their own.
The problem is we don't know where we're getting sodium from, and we have no clue how much we're consuming, and we really are over consuming it.
With government pressure mounting to control salt content, food manufacturers are getting strategic, silently reducing sodium in popular processed foods, gradually.
There's some consumers that generally feel that foods that are labeled low salt or no added salt will taste bad.
Campbell's V8 juice slashed its salt content by 32% over an 8-year period. Prego spaghetti sauce cut its sodium by 46%, and some varieties of Orville Redenbacher popcorn is down 30%, all without low-sodium specific marketing, serving to slash salt content but not sales. City policymakers are also jumping on the no-salt bandwagon. The CDC applauded New York City's announcement establishing voluntary sodium reduction targets for restaurants and food makers, with a goal to reduce overall sodium consumption 25% by the year 2014. But as manufacturers and policymakers take steps, in the end, it's up to the consumers to lick the salt situation. For Good Morning America, Andrea Canning, ABC News, New York.
Going to continue the conversation now with Dr. Richard Besser. And Rich, the CDC says on average 1,500 to 2,300 milligrams of sodium.
That's right. Most adults, it's 1,500 milligrams. And you can see here, 1,500 milligrams is what you would get in 2/3 of a teaspoon of salt. So that's not very much to have over an entire day.
You're supposed to have that for the entire day.
That's what you're supposed to have. And you have very little control. You know, as Andrea was saying, many of the products that we eat every day or our children eat every day are very high in salt. 1 can of chicken noodle soup has as much as 2,200 milligrams.
Yeah.
If you have 1 hot dog, that's 1,000 milligrams. And if you want to put a slice of cheese on your sandwich, that's another 300 milligrams. So over just those ingredients, you've already far surpassed what you should have in a day.
So are we seeing companies moving in the right direction with what they're doing right now?
They are, and it's very interesting that they haven't been raving about it, because a lot of people, when they see on the shelf reduced salt product, they don't go anywhere near it. But if they've slowly reduced this over many years, you don't even notice it. And that's the same thing about your own diet. If you slowly cut back on your salt that you add, you're not going to notice it either.
Well, the reason why people, lay on the salt, it tastes good, it adds a little flavor, so give us some alternatives.
It does. There are things that you can do. The first thing is make sure that before you eat your food, before you salt your food, you taste it. Because there are things, that, especially in a restaurant, that already have enough salt in there, you don't need to add it.
It's just a habit for us to do it.
Read the label. When you're in the store shopping and you're comparing, look on there and see how much sodium's in there, and that will be very useful. Also look and see how many servings is in each can, because you can get tricked in that regard.
Sure.
Try different herbs and spices. You may find that adding some oregano, adding some garlic gives you that kind of taste sensation, so that you don't need to put that salt in there at all. And then the last one is try cooking with real food. There's a whole real food movement, but if you chop up some green beans and saute those, in a little oil, add a little garlic, no salt at all. Whereas if you buy a can of green beans, you're going to get a lot of salt. That's true. Try fresh foods and then play around with how much salt you really need.
All right, Rich, thank you so much. We really appreciate that. Go on our website and get more information about that.